The ritual room. Antonio and Leslie reluctantly followed Nina into the basement, their flashlights trembling in their hands. The damp air was thick, making it hard to breathe, and the oppressive weight of unseen eyes pressed on their shoulders. Isaac, Nina called out, her voice breaking. The basement seemed to stretch endlessly, with the light from their flashlights swallowed by the darkness. Do you think he's still alive? Leslie whispered, though she already feared the worst. As they moved deeper into the room, the flickering light revealed the chest Isaac had approached. The chains were now broken, and the lid hung slightly open, a faint tendril of black mist drifting upward. Antonio stepped closer to inspect the chest. This thing isn't normal, he muttered. Carvings similar to those upstairs adorned the wood, but they pulsed faintly, as if alive. Antonio, stop! Nina hissed, pulling him back. We need to leave. This place isn't just haunted, it's alive. Before they could retreat, the candles surrounding the chest flared to life, their flames turning an ominous shade of green. A guttural voice echoed through the room, speaking in a language none of them could understand. The carvings on the walls began to glow, and the room trembled as the chest opened wider. From within, a creature began to emerge. Its body was an amorphous mass of shadow, with countless tendrils writhing and snapping like whips. It's coming! Leslie screamed, stumbling back. The three bolted for the stairs, but the creature pursued them, its form stretching unnaturally as it slithered along the walls and ceiling. It let out a deafening roar, a sound so unnatural that it rattled their bones. The endless hallway. They barely made it back upstairs, slamming the basement door shut behind them. Antonio pushed a nearby bookshelf in front of it, though he doubted it would hold for long. What is that thing? Nina panted, clutching her chest. It doesn't matter, Antonio replied. We need to find another way out, fast. But the house had changed. The living room, once small and decrepit, now seemed impossibly large, with doors and windows multiplying along the walls. Each door led to a hallway that stretched endlessly into the shadows, twisting and turning like a labyrinth. This wasn't here before, Leslie said, her voice trembling. It's playing with us, Antonio muttered, gripping his flashlight tighter. Suddenly, a faint sobbing echoed through the house. It was coming from one of the hallways. Derek, Nina asked, her eyes widening. It sounds like him. No, Antonio said firmly, grabbing her arm. That's not Derek. It's whatever this thing is. It's trying to lure us in. But Nina broke free and ran toward the sound. I can't just leave him. Nina, wait! Leslie called after her, but it was too late. The entity revealed. Nina disappeared down the hallway, her flashlight beam growing fainter until it vanished completely. Leslie and Antonio hesitated, unsure whether to follow. Before they could decide, a deafening crash came from the basement door as the creature burst through, its massive form squeezing into the hallway. Run! Antonio shouted, grabbing Leslie's hand. The two sprinted down another hallway, dodging falling debris as the house seemed to collapse around them. Doors slammed shut behind them, trapping the creature momentarily, but its guttural roars grew louder as it closed in. After what felt like an eternity, they stumbled into a room that seemed different from the others. The walls were covered in mirrors, each reflecting not their images, but distorted, nightmarish versions of themselves. In the center of the room was a large, ornate book resting on a pedestal. This must be important, Leslie said, approaching the book despite the sinister atmosphere. Antonio hesitated. Be careful, it might be another trap. But as Leslie opened the book, the symbols inside began to glow. A sudden burst of light filled the room, and the mirrors shattered, their shards swirling around them like a whirlwind. The final stand. The creature burst into the room, its tendrils lashing out in fury. Leslie and Antonio ducked behind the pedestal as the shards of glass seemed to repel the monster, burning its shadowy form. The book! Antonio shouted. It's connected to the house! Maybe it's the key to stopping this thing. Leslie flipped through the pages, her eyes scanning the incomprehensible text. Finally, she found a page where the symbols began to rearrange themselves into a language she could understand. It's a ritual, she said, her voice shaking. We can trap it, but we need to finish what was started in the basement. You're kidding me, Antonio groaned. The creature roared again, its form collapsing and reforming as it grew more unstable. Shadows began to spill into the room, and the floor buckled beneath them. "We don't have a choice," Leslie yelled, grabbing the book and running toward the hallway. Antonio followed, his flashlight flickering as the creature pursued them. They retraced their steps to the basement, where the chest still sat in the center of the circle of candles. Leslie placed the book on the floor and began chanting the words from the ritual. The candles flared again, and the carvings on the walls pulsed with light. The creature screeched, its form thrashing violently as it was drawn toward the chest. "Keep going," Antonio urged, holding his ground as the tendrils lashed out. As Leslie finished the chant, the chest snapped shut with a thunderous boom. The creature's screams faded, and the oppressive darkness lifted. It's become. The house groaned, its walls trembling as cracks spread across the ceiling. "It's collapsing," Antonio shouted. The two ran for the stairs, dodging falling debris and splintering wood. They burst through the front door just as the house caved in, collapsing into a heap of rubble. Outside, the forest was eerily silent. The fog had lifted, revealing the faint glow of dawn. "We made it," Leslie whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. But as they turned to leave, Antonio noticed something lying in the grass. It was the doll from the house, its head tilted unnaturally to the side. Its eyes seemed to follow them as they walked away.